Picture a thick morning mist hanging over the coastal lagoons of the Gulf of Guinea. As it slowly clears, the vibrant, deeply pulsing heart of West Africa just kind of reveals itself. Welcome to our latest explainer. Today, we're stepping onto a remarkably narrow strip of Earth, a place that honestly defies its own physical limits.
Okay, let's dive into this. Think about the relentless, crashing waves of the Atlantic for a second. They've battered this coastline for millennia, bringing with them traders, colonizers, and these huge, sweeping tides of change. And yet, the soul of this place, it remains entirely its own. So, you have to wonder, how does a nation that's geographically so small hold so many complete, vibrant worlds inside it?
Section 1. The Land Behind the Sea. If you zoom all the way into the map of West Africa, you'll spot this tiny, almost impossibly thin sliver of land squeezed tightly between Ghana to the west and Benin to the east. Now, to really understand this country, you first have to understand its name. Long before modern borders were ever drawn, the indigenous Iwe people named a settlement here using just two simple words, tu meaning water and go meaning shore, by the water, or if you want to be a bit more poetic about it, behind the sea. Over time, as traditional fishermen cast their sprawling nets into those tranquil coastal lagoons, that local name expanded to represent the entire nation.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how narrow the country actually is. Togo has a maximum width of barely 115 kilometers. To put that into perspective, you could practically drive across its entire width in just a couple of hours. But hey, don't let that slender frame fool you. The physical journey from its southern beaches up to its northern border is an absolute masterclass in geographical diversity. The landscape just transforms dramatically as you move inland. Down south, you've got warm, sandy beaches and dense, mysterious mangroves hugging the Bight of Benin. But as you travel north, the terrain pushes upward into this beautifully rugged, forested plateau, culminating right at the peak of Managu, which sits nearly 1,000 meters above the sea. Keep going, and those forests open up into vast, rolling, sun-baked savannas that stretch all the way toward the Burkina Faso border. It really is a stunning environmental gradient.
Section 2. Echoes of the Past.
Because you see, beneath that soil and those savannas, deep historical shadows still linger. The history of Togo is a profound story of resilience in the face of overlapping empires. For centuries, really from the 16th to the 18th centuries, this beautiful coastline was tragically exploited by Europeans as a major hub for the transatlantic slave trade. Then the scramble for Africa fundamentally redrew the map. In 1884, Germany stepped in and established the Togoland Protectorate, forcing the locals into grueling agricultural labor. But global conflicts soon arrived right on these shores. When World War I broke out in 1914, British and French forces invaded, eventually partitioning the land between themselves. It wasn't until April 27, 1960, that Togo finally shattered those colonial chains and proclaimed its hard-won independence from France.
Now, what's really interesting about this timeline is the incredibly rapid and turbulent shift in its modern politics. Just 3 years after independence, Togo experienced its first military coup. By 1967, Gnassingbé Eyadema assumed power. He went on to establish a single-party state and ruled for 38 years, becoming at the time of his passing the longest-serving leader in modern African history. The political landscape remained pretty tense and deeply contested for decades under his son. But history's always unfolding, right? Just recently in 2024, a major constitutional reform officially shifted Togo from a presidential system to a parliamentary republic. That's a massive pivot in how power is balanced and exercised today.
Section 3. The Economic Pulse. So, how exactly does a nation with such a turbulent history and narrow geography sustain itself today? Well, it starts right at the bustling, sunlit edge of the ocean, at the port of Lomé. This is Togo's only major container port, and it's literally the mechanical heart of its trade, relentlessly pumping goods in and out of the country. When we look at the mechanics of survival here, we see this fascinating duality. Down beneath the soil lies an immense wealth of minerals, which drives nearly a third of their GDP. But above the earth, the land is just bursting with vital, life-sustaining crops. Agriculture is the true backbone of the nation, employing roughly half of the entire working population.
And what exactly are they sending out into the world from that bustling port? Get this, Togo surprisingly holds the fourth largest phosphate deposits on the entire planet. That is a completely crucial mineral for global fertilizers. But they balance this heavy industrial mining with the rich, fertile yields of the earth, things like coffee, cocoa beans, and cotton. They are quite literally exporting both the soil itself and the fruits of that soil.
Section 4. A Tapestry of People. Beyond the economics and the shifting borders, it's the citizens who really breathe life into this nation.
There's a quiet, enduring strength in the faces of the Togolese people. So the crucial point is that this narrow strip of land is definitely not a monolith. It's an incredibly dense cultural mosaic. Within this tiny geography, Togo is home to around 40 distinct ethnic groups. You've got the Iwe and the Mina in the lush south, making up a huge portion of the population, all the way up to the Kabye and Tem communities in the northern hills and savannas. That's 40 distinct threads woven into a single national fabric.
And this diversity extends profoundly into the realm of the spirit, too. Nearly half the population adheres to Christianity, while roughly 18% are Muslim. But what makes Togo's spiritual landscape so deeply fascinating is the coexistence and integration of traditional faiths. Over a third of the population practices indigenous religions natively. But even more remarkably, many Christians and Muslims here seamlessly blend their faith with ancestral religious practices. It creates this beautiful, harmonious overlap of the sacred.
Section 5. Faith, Fabric, and Culture. To truly understand the soul of Togo, I want you to imagine vibrant, intensely colored wax print fabrics snapping and billowing in the warm coastal wind. If you walk through the vivid, kinetic textile markets of Lomé, you're going to encounter the legendary legacy of the Nana Bens. These women were not just traders, they were absolute powerhouse Togolese businesswomen. Historically, the Nana Bens commanded such immense economic and cultural power that they essentially dictated the design, the taste, and the global circulation of wax print cloth, which is known as panya. In both colonial and post-colonial times, these women built literal empires out of fabric, driving the economy and defining African fashion.
Let's move to and see how this builds into their profound physical craftsmanship. In the deep southern traditions, particularly among the Yue people, you'll find these incredible wooden carvings known as venavi. These are sacred twin statuettes, intricately carved from a single block of wood in the Clodo tradition, and they're created specifically to venerate and memorialize twins. It acts as this tangible, beautifully crafted bridge between the living, the dead, and the divine.
And this cultural richness is super kinetic. It really lives in movement and ritual. Take the North, for example, with the fierce, intense Avala wrestling initiation rites of the Kabye people. It's this intense physical proving ground for young men. Then, contrast that with the deeply mystical Epe Ekbe ceremony of the Gwin community down in the southeast, where the new year is marked by the sacred, highly secretive taking of a colored stone from a forest. It's just a breathtaking duality of expression, all contained within one tiny border.
As the misty sun sets directly behind the peaks of Monagu, painting the sky in these vibrant shades of patched cloth, we're really left to wonder. Togo is a nation squeezed by geography, scarred by colonial history, and tested by political turbulence. Yet, it bursts with this vibrant tapestry of 40 ethnicities, immense earthly wealth, and fiercely protected cultural traditions. In a world totally obsessed with sprawling massive empires, what can we actually learn from the deep, quiet, and undeniable resilience of the land behind the sea? Definitely something to think about until our next explainer.